What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jen, back again for another Outerplane video, and for today it's time to update my 3-star tier list because my last updated 3-star tier list was made before the global launch, and then when global launches, we've got a new character in the form of Rin. Rin is a 3-star striker water element, and where does Rin falls up into my tier list? So we will be talking about that one. So Rin, I've been playing with Rin for quite some time, and I can definitely say Rin is a really strong character. But in my tier list, I will be putting Rin during the early game in PvE and PvP only in S tier. She is not as OP as Nova is. Because usually Rin is going to be compared with Nova, and Nova is just broken. Nova is built different compared to Rin. Both in PvE and PvP. Let me explain to you guys why. But first, I've been testing out Rin during the early game because I made a global account and I chose Rin as my reroll priority because I really wanted to test out Rin during the early game if you will have a hard time using her instead of the most common recommended, which is Valentine and Noah. And Rin is okay, but not as good as Noah and Valentine during the early game, because during the early game you don't have that much great gears, you don't have that much skill ups. So Rin is just an okay character, but still pretty strong for a 3-star character, stronger than the other 3-star characters available in the game. And also Rin is a cleaver, that is why she is really good, but not the best in my honest opinion in terms of PvE. But during the late game in PvP, she moves to the top tier because once you gear the Rin, she's pretty strong in PvP, and in PvP, cleave matters. It's all about cleave in PvP. If you are single target DPS, then you might the highest rating that I can give you in PvP rating during the late game is only at S tier. But if you are a really powerful cleaver with endgame gears, then you deserve the SS treatment in the PvP. And they are pretty much the same SS tier ranking, but with Noah during the late game PvP, because both of them are really strong. They can wipe out enemies. But if you're going to be fighting Rin versus Noah in PvP, Noah wins because Noah can one-shot Rin, where otherwise Rin cannot one-shot Noah. But Noah has other weaknesses like Valentine, where a really strong Valentine can also one-shot Noah if your Noah is not don't have that much HP. So yeah, there's that. But if you're going to be battling Rin versus Noah wins. Now, during the late game, why is Rin only S tier in PvE? Why? It's because she's only viable in what do you call this, in the Meteor, the Red Hunt, whereas Noah is used everywhere. Even though I think Noah cannot fully clear the Red Hunt, still in the other hands, Noah is pretty viable and pretty much the best DPS to choose instead of Rin. And also, one of the main weakness of Rin during the early game and also in late game is that Rin cannot farm the Chimera Hunt, which is one of the most important hunts in the game, where you will be farming a lot of the time. Most of the time, you will be spending most of your stamina farming that hunts because of the speed gear, because speed matters in this game, and that is why she is below Noah in my tier list. That is my reasoning for rating Rin as S tier in PvE, but during the PvP, she is SS tier. That is why also Rin is not a really recommended character for rerolling unless you are gonna be simping for Rin. That is the only advantage of Rin over Noah, is that Rin is more wipeable than Noah is, because Noah is not legal in my honest. As far as I know, Noah is not legal, right? Noah is still a child. So yeah, but if you are a lolicon and you have that kind of fetish, then probably Noah is your waifu. But just be aware of your surroundings because probably the FBI will surround you. Anyways, just a summary for my 3-star tier list. So Alice, PBE, PvP, A tier, and then S tier. Beth, A tier, PBE, early game, and then late game, PBE, and PvP, S tier. Eliza, early game, A tier, late game, S tier. Francesca, early game, S tier in PvP, and S tier in late game PvE because Francesca is a really good boss killer. Once you fully raise her, she's pretty darn good, pretty strong. But in PvP, she's somewhat okay because she is a single target DPS. And as I've said earlier, if you are a single target DPS, even though you are very strong, the highest tier I can give you in the PvP for late game is only S tier because it's been clipped all along in the PvP. Laplace is mid, only A tier both in early game and late game. Leo is meta in PvP during the late game. If you have a fully max skilled Leo, a really fast Leo, yun nga, Leo is really broken in PvP. Maxwell, early game, A tier, late game, S tier only. I have not seen a really strong Maxwell in PvP as of now. That is why I am giving Maxwell the S tier treatment during the late game because in PvP, usually the meta are Leo, Valentine, Noah, Rin. I have not seen a really strong Maxwell. Whenever I put a Maxwell in the defense position in a defense team in arena, those Maxwells are not that good. But maybe if I can see a really strong build Maxwell, then probably I might change his ratings here in the PvP. Probably he can go up to also in the SS tier, but I have not seen a really broken build Maxwell. So for now, I'm just basing this one based on my experience in fighting Maxwell in the arena. Noah, SS tier, broken character. There's nothing to be said about Noah. Noah is just build different. Rona, a 3-star character, only mid. But she's serviceable, but there are way better characters to use other than her. And then, as I've said, that the one we talked earlier, Rin, S tier in PvE, SS tier in PvP in during the late game. Siren, only S tier at the late game because Tio is just way better than Siren. Siren has long cooldowns. You need some form of some niche activation requirement for you to fully utilize her kit. That is why Tio is way better than Siren, and it's easy to cycle the skills of Tio, which is what makes Tio a really broken character also. Stella is not available during the early game because you can only get Stella in the summon once you've already beaten the hard stages. So Stella will be available in the summon pool once you've already beaten the hard stage. So she's not available in early game. So I cannot rate her an early game character because you're not gonna be using her during the early game. Late game only Esther. I have not seen a really strong Stella in PvP because maybe there are very few characters that touch her. So for now, I'm just rating her at Esther in PvP. Then Valentine, double Esther, broken character. Nobody can do what she does. She buffs the damage potential of your characters through the roof, and also can cleave, really strong, and also can one-shot some. If your Valentine is really cracked, Valentine can one-shot Noah in PvP. Veronica also really good during the late game, but early game you really don't need a tank in the early game. Even in the late game in PvE, you really don't need Veronica because the main team, the dream team that can clear all of most content is Veronica, Valentine, Noah, Dali, and Tio. Those four alone can already clear most of the contents without even needing to use a tank. But Veronica, if you have a really cracked Veronica in PvP, she's very strong. I've fought a lot of really tanky Veronica in PvP. And yeah, she's very strong. She's very, very strong in PvP. If you have faced them, especially a fast Veronica in PvP. I faced some really fast Veronica in PvP and I always get wiped out. Why is a really fast Veronica a really dangerous in arena? Because Veronica has an AoE cleave attack with her S3, which in my honest opinion, it really does not do that much damage, but it chips away some of your HP. And then those enough HP alone is already enough for you to get wiped. Because usually, she's just a finisher with the following the clip of Valentine and Noah, because or Rin. So yeah, Veronica is also a really, really strong character in PvP. One of the meta characters in the PvP. Well, anyway guys, tier lists are meant to be taken with a big grain of salt. You may agree or disagree with me and it's fine. So take it with a big grain of salt. And I think that's it for me for today guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it if you could help me grow my channel more. And thank you to everyone who are supporting my channel. I appreciate every one of you. Until next time, peace.